Everybody, and welcome back to the Game Pantry, where it's less bright in here today. That may be because I've closed the curtains and I'm using artificial light. Everybody, this is Pantry, this is the Game Pantry, this is the Retro Bear, this is television, games and stuff, and welcome back for another video, which is going to be another video response. It is that time of year after all. Let me address the game in the room, which some of you may have sort of realised and thinking, bloody hell, that looks a bit good for a change. This is a game called Evil Zone on the PlayStation, which I picked up many years ago and I have absolutely no idea what it's to do with, and if I could read the writing on the back, I don't know. I never actually played it, so I don't know. I'm guessing it's some sort of Japanese anime type thing, but I thought you might want to watch that because it makes a bit of a change, doesn't it, really? It's got nothing to do with what we're talking about today, because we're going to be talking about another video response, and this is to another guy I've been watching for quite some time, mentioned him before many occasions. It's RealGenericDemon, who's come up with the wonderful idea of basically naming his 10 favourite arcade games. Simple, isn't it? I mean, you know, how many of us played in arcades when they were open in its heyday in the 80s and sort of early to mid 90s? How many of us used to walk in there and salivate over the quality of the machines in there, the cabinets, the graphics, the sound, and then wait for the home conversion to come out and realise it was a complete load of tut. Oh yes, many times been caught out by that in the past. But anybody who grew up in the 80s is going to have some experience of arcade at some point in their life, whether they played the games, whether they played sort of ROMs of the games going sort of recently and things like that. So this is what we're going to talk about today, 10 arcade games that I really enjoyed. I'm hoping that will move, because if it doesn't, that'll be really dull, but we'll let it go. So actually, when I first started playing arcade games, well, probably my first earliest sort of mention of arcade in my own life, probably in the early 80s. I'm guessing probably Pengo, I think, was one of the first ones I saw, because my chip shop up the road used to have a Pengo machine in there. But apart from that, not a lot really until the mid-80s. So let's crack on with this one. Now, I may not have stuff to show you for this one, but that would be... Oh, it's a fighting game. It's even less likely to get played now than it's been an RPG. So first game to bring up, and I think everybody must have played this at some point, Outrun. But it's got to be the sit-down version. You can't just, you know, the stand-up version is fine, it's fine, but the sit-down version is how you experience it properly. In the little car, the experience of driving along the beach. You got the first corner you take on that game and go around the beach. You got the sea on the one side, the music blaring out, the big colourful graphics. You're on the road. The whole thing moves at a great lick, and it just captures the imagination. You're there, you're drawn in, and that really, for me, is what it's all about, and it has to be played like that. Stand-up version is fine, but if you want to play, you know, if you want to play Hang-On or Super Hang-On, you want to sit on the Great Ruddy Bike. If you want to play Enduro Racer, you sit on the bike. You don't stand up with handlebars. So Outrun sit down is an absolute must. It's a game which did not convert very well at all until technology was much better later on. So the 8-bit, I played the Commodore 64 version, it was horrible. I played the Amiga version, that was even worse. How was the Amiga version even worse than that? I've got absolutely no idea. But the Outrun 2 and Outrun 2006 version that came out on the Xbox and the PlayStation 2 are great games. So that goes some way to compensate for it, but it's not quite Outrun. If you didn't play Outrun in the arcade, the sit-down machine, it's not quite the same playing on anything else. My next choice is a game probably which would not enter most people's top 100 list, probably not even top 500 list, and that's Wrestle by Sega. But the reason this is going in there is because I used to play that game a hell of a lot. Pretty much every Saturday we'd go up to the cinema, me and my mate. We'd always go every Saturday, whatever was on, we'd always find something to watch. But before that we'd go in the arcade, and Wrestle was in there. It's a standard fighting game, wrestling game, nothing special about it. It's not anywhere near as good as, say, WWF Superstars or WrestleFest or anything like that. It's just a one-on-one fighting game, big colourful graphics, and that's about it. But I would simply go there every week with the intention of getting all the way through past the first boss. It didn't quite get to the end of the game. I don't think I completed it. But by the end of it, every week I'd have about 6 or 7 people standing around watching me play the game. So I'd walk in there, walk in there with mate, take my coat off, hold that, put me whatever it was in quid or whatever, and play the game. And then I'd come out of that game sweating buckets, but I'd had a good time. And then I'd go and buy a giant, great big soft drink and a huge tub of popcorn and go and watch a film. Happy days. But yeah, it's not a special game. Now, it came out on the Mega Drive only, I think, years later. And when I bought my Mega Drive second hand back in the mid-90s, the guy who bought it after that game was in there, so I played it again. I don't have it now. I may get it again just to complete the circle of journey. Third game, House of the Dead. 1, 2, 3, I don't really care. Any House of the Dead game, because interesting story attached to this one as always. A friend of mine, one day we found House of the Dead game in an arcade, we started playing it, and then it became sort of a running thing. Whenever we went to an arcade, whichever arcade we went into, we'd play House of the Dead. So when it goes somewhere like Blackpool, first time we went to an arcade, have you found House of the Dead? Yeah, it's over here, I'll be over there in a second. And I think it was just the whole experience of playing with a mate, with the light guns and the whole zombie thing going on, and it was just great fun, and we were reasonably good at it. I was much better at playing House of the Dead 3 on Xbox with the control pad, as opposed to playing House of the Dead in the arcade with the big guns, because I don't know, I couldn't quite work out the concept of that. But it's just it's just a great game, and those 3 games are really good. If you've never played a House, it's like Outrun. If you've never played House of the Dead game, go and play House of the Dead game. You can find them anywhere. I mean, the Wii versions are reasonably cheap. You can get a PlayStation 3 version of the original title called Overkill, which is really good fun, especially if you get the 3D as well. Yeah, just go and play House of the Dead. Go now. Stop watching this. Go and watch House of the Dead. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is number 4. I think that'll crop up most people's list. Why? Not really my sort of game, but when you walked into an arcade and the first thing you hear is that music, the theme tune, the opening to the theme tune on the reasonably well rendition version of it, the vocals throughout the game, the visuals of the game like being in a cartoon, the constant phrase I used to hear all the time was, "Duh, who turned out the lights?" If you play that game, you know what I'm talking about. But everybody knew it. Whether you were a Turtles fan or not, everybody knew that game and everybody played it. I know there was a sporadic conversion to the home systems, possibly the Amiga and maybe something else. But the Turtles game that came out that one Christmas, everybody thought that was the game that was coming out for. It was a conversion of the NES game, which is much, much worse. So we were all a bit annoyed with that. So I don't think it ever really sort of got a good run. I think if you play the Hyperstone Heist and Turtles in Time, I think there are elements of the arcade game across both of those games. So I think I played both on emulation. I'm sort of thinking this is about as close as we could have got to a Turtles arcade game conversion properly done. But it's great. I mean, it just captures the spirit of the cartoon. That's what it should do. And you can have 4 players on it as well. It's like the Simpsons game and X-Men and Spider-Man, the X-Men game. Big 4-player things, Gauntlet, 3-player games. It was a great big hulking machinery. When I went to the video game arcade in Nottingham before they moved to Sheffield, you walked in there, the first machine that was there to your left-hand side playing that bloody theme tune and showing that opening sequence again was Turtles, and that was the first game that me and the Mrs. Bear went on and played that. Just before she beat me at Star Wars Episode 1 Racer twice, because they were in the same room. But yeah, Turtles, number 4. Number 5, this one again is just a specific memory. It's got to be this particular one. It's got to be sit-down 2-player Sega Rally in a run-down arcade in Stourport-on-Severn in the West Midlands in the mid-90s. It has to be that brand new, otherwise it doesn't count. Now, you can play the 1-player standing-up version, you can play the Saturn version at home. It's not the same thing. This version of Sega Rally, to sit there, 2-player game with a flashing light which tells you which one's in front. 2 of you throwing these rally cars round corners, sliding around there, over jumps, through waters, sharp hairpin bends, bends around here, avoid all the wildlife, big sort of skids round the corner, drifting round with your foot on the accelerator and half part on the brake at the same time, flying around to get the drift and the gravel flying everywhere and the helicopter coming in. Yeah, just great fun. Just great fun. You cannot beat a game like that. Sit down version, manual or automatic. I used to always drive the automatic. My mate used to go manual. Oh, he's hardcore. He was hardcore, and there was 4 of us. So we bear in mind that Stourport was, it wasn't down the road. It was a fair old journey for a Friday night. But we go down there, 4 of us, winner stays on, finish there, drive back here, and have a few points when we got back. Classic times, and it's a great game. It is a great game. Go and play it. If you've never played it before, go and play it. But don't play the home version. Play the arcade ROM. Play that. You can't beat that. Next one is going probably back to the sort of the Outrun days, and this is Operation Wolf. And you'll know why I like this, because there's a great big hulking machine gun attached to the front of it. Great big Uzi, when Uzis were popular. Stallone was popular, Schwarzenegger was popular, and to a much lesser extent, Lundgren was popular. Again, the whole concept of that sort of character, the commando, the renegade, armed to the teeth with machine guns and bullets and grenades and all sorts of interesting crap. Just sort of like from the process of a side-scrolling shooter with you moving in a light gun game, moving your Uzi around the screen and shooting all the guys. You got the tanks, you got the helicopters. You could pick up extra weapons on there, avoiding the hostages and the nurses and all sorts of bit. It was just great, and it had that wonderful start to it. So you've ever seen the start to Operation Wolf on the arcade, and even the home conversion, some of them kept that in, where he's sort of kicking himself out. So he's like doing a shoelace up, he's sort of tightening the band, that sort of thing. Gives you the whole feel of it, and the machine gun on it as well. If I remember correctly, it had bloody recoil on it. I'm pretty sure it did. So when you, that's why I was bloody crap at it. It was like all over the bloody place, but it was great fun, and you wanted to play it again and again. And in all honesty, the majority of the home conversions were pretty bloody good. I don't think there were too many bad ones amongst them. A friend of mine had the Commodore 64 demonstration, the demo of it, which was released in a cassette magazine. A cassette on the front of a magazine. That's it. Calm down. And we used to play that for hours on end. It was just the one level, but we used to love it so much playing it. I don't think he ever got the game eventually. I have it somewhere. Must dig it out, or do I have it somewhere? I don't know. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I got it somewhere. But it's Operation Wolf. What a great game that was. And you wouldn't mind throwing a few quid in that one, because it was just a great experience of playing that game. It really was. Number 7, another sort of shooting game, and this is probably the one game on this list that probably should have got converted to the home computers or consoles for some reason, but never did. This was The Lost World, Jurassic Park. And again, very much like House of the Dead, running joke between me and my mate. Wherever we go, House of the Dead, Lost World. We're going to play both of them, and it was a cabinet you sat down in, and you pulled the curtains across, and it was a light gun game, and basically I think very, 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 very loosely based around the second film in that franchise. But you were fighting, sort of shooting great hulking dinosaurs and all sorts of, and then some prehistoric monsters came out of where, which it was a crocodile or something that wasn't even in the film. But the sound effects of it, the whole build up to it, the tiding around that the whole big, go to cinema and seeing these great big sort of things on the screen, and it's just like a running joke to me. We've got to go and find it. I went to an arcade, 18 months ago on the East Coast. Went into an arcade to see. I said to Claire, I said to Mr. Ben, walk past. I said, you know what? I'm just going to walk in there for old time's sake and see what they got in there. What have they got? Lost World. Every arcade had got one. Is it a good game? I don't know. It just holds a lot of nostalgic memories for me. But I know there was a game called The Lost World which was converted to the Mega Drive, but I don't think that's based anything on the arcade game. To me, this is a game that never ever got converted. I still can't for the life of me understand why. And I think it's aged a lot better than, say, the Sega version of the first film, because I played that on emulation, and that's a bit ropey, to be honest, very ropey. This one, I think, still holds its time up a little bit. So that's The Lost World, Jurassic Park, number 7. God, that was a good game. Number 8, another racing game, Daytona. But again, it has to be a specific one. It's got to be the 4-player sit-down Daytona at the Hollywood Bowl at Rubery in Birmingham. It's got to be that one, because that was my life for a couple of years in the late 90s. Going to the Hollywood Bowl, Tempin Bowling. They had on site their own brewery, so they brewed their own lager and ale, It was fantastic. So you go up there, couple of games of bowling, get severely annoyed if you didn't bowl between 150 and 200 if you were me, because that's where I used to bowl. And honestly, if I'd kept that a bit longer, I could have become a little bit better than that. I haven't been bowling for years. And then you're drinking sort of like 4 pints of this sort of like quality 4 or 5% lager. And this is a Sunday afternoon, this is before going to work on the Monday. 4 or 5 pints of that while you're bowling. At the end of it, you come off, have another pint there, and then 4 of us are going to sit down and play Daytona. And then after we finish playing Daytona, we go and watch Mark Holston complete Star Wars trilogy again for the 7th week in a row. That was my Sunday. And then we drive all the way home, and either we go in and have a bit of tea, and that was it, or we go straight to the pub and have a couple more and then go home for tea, and then go to work on the Monday. Hardcore I was back then. Hardcore. It's a soft night out for some people, that is, but that was it. And it's got to be that Daytona game. The whole, 4 of you on those, flying around on that track, racing against each other with the great big graphics on the game and the music blaring out, and it was just a great experience. And the lights changing on the race leader all the time. You're driving on, who's winning? Oh, you're winning, and I'm winning, and that was it. It was just great fun, competitive arcade racing at its very, very best. But it's got to be that one. Can't be anything else. Can't be the home conversions. No matter how good. I think the Championship edition is, but I've never played. I've only played the first one, which was a ropey old conversion on the Saturn. But yeah, it's got to be that one. So we go. Another racing game, and this is Gti Club. Now, it's probably a very little known game. There was a conversion that came out on the Wii, which at various times in its life has been in CEX, has been anything between 12 and 25 quid to pick up. There was also a remaster done for the PlayStation 3 years and years ago, when the PlayStation 3 was relatively new. It was only like a limited run release, and I played a demo of it. And all it is, it's a racing game where you got little, GTI cars. I'm presuming they're Fiats and little Volkswagens and things, and you're hurtling through the streets of the Mediterranean cities and towns and countries. And it's got some really nice, pretty graphics on it, and there's some interesting jumps. You can take shortcuts through there, and the whole, big sort of handbrake turns as well. And it moves at a fair old lick. It's not particularly groundbreaking. It's not particularly interesting. You can press a button, you can press the horn, it'll go beep beep. That's a plus in my book. There's nothing special about this game. It's just that a friend of mine banged on about it, and he said, "Oh, have you played this game?" No. "Oh, you got to play this game." And then we went to an arcade. He said, "They've got this game over here," and I played it. I thought, you know what? It's not bad actually. It's not bad. And when they bought a home version out, I thought, yeah, it's not a bad conversion of it. I do intend to get it for the Wii one day, certainly. It's part of my collection. But yeah, Gti Club, not particularly well known, not particularly well remembered, not particularly outstanding, but I liked it. Someone's got to. You've got to back a loser at the end of the day. Now, this was a hard choice between the last one, number 10, and number 11. I'll mention what number 11 was, because I've had to sort of make a decision. That was really sort of a one-off experience. Number 10 is going to be a bit sort of strange. It's going to be Virtuous Troika. Now, football games and arcades really don't sort of go together at all. I've played a couple of them. Was it Football Champion or Football Champ or something like that, which I just couldn't get on with. This one was a bit different, and again, a mate of mine used to be really addicted to this. He was like, again, if we were trying to find out the House of the Dead and Lost World, he was trying to find out Virtuous Troika. And I think it's because it's just done from a completely sort of different way of things that most football games have done. It's big, it's brash, it's colourful, and it's a lot tighter in it. It's more playing a FIFA or a Pro Evo game, but I don't know, there's just something about it. It just seems to work, and it's a challenge as well. It's not it's not a game that you can master quite easily. You do have to sort of put some time into it. And I think occasionally you can get a couple of games in, and then just sort of you just can't get any further. But yeah, I used to really enjoy playing that, and I've picked that as my 10th one because it's slightly different. The reason I didn't pick my 11th one as number 10 is because it's only a one-off experience. It sort of goes back to how I used to be. And my number 11, just for reference, is Final Furlong, which, for those who know what I'm talking about, was actually a horse racing simulator. Yes, it's a horse racing game, I know, but I had to get this one in. And the arcade game itself, and again, this is 4 of us. I'm at Blackpool in 1997, in the midst of an 18-point day, which started at 12 o'clock when we got to Blackpool. I mean, culminated at 3 o'clock in the morning with me falling down the stairs backwards. That's a story for another time. You can ask me about that when you meet me. See why I don't drink anymore. And 4-player link like Daytona was, but you sat on a horse. Not a complete horse, but a horse with a head that moved like that. So the idea was, I again vaguely remember it, was that you raced it and you sort of crouched as if you were a jockey and you were going like that, riding this horse all the way. And by the end of it, bear in mind where we were, it was like late summer, so it was very, very warm. We're obviously very drunk at the time. And the culmination of all that and 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 that, and that, it was all sort of like, basically, once we complete the race, we all fell off the horses and just sort of lay on the floor laughing and sweating and taking a real sort of long hard look at our lives, possibly. I don't know. It was just, I can't remember who won that race. I don't really care who won that race. I've never played that game before then. I've never played that game since, but as a memory, I'm sticking it in a number 11. That's why I can't put it in the top 10, because it's a memory more than anything else. But that there is, that was a really fun experience, and possibly one of the most painful experiences of my life as well. Because where the horse was, it used to chafe the inside of your sort of calves. So you come off there with sore calves, absolutely knackered, your arms are falling off, and yeah, great. But that was great fun anyway. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed that. That's some great arcade games there. If you've played those, then great. If you haven't played those, you can't go and play them now because you can't find the machines. But if you are able to do these things through emulation, please feel free to do so. Just don't tell me about it. But no, if you have played those games and you want to leave any comments about that below, your memories of those, that'd be fantastic. Like I said, there will be a link in the description to Real Generic Demon's channel, who started all this off. Go and have a look at his choices. I think he did this in about 7 minutes, which is a lot shorter than this, but there we go. I really enjoyed doing this. That's been a lot of fun today. If you like this video, don't forget to please comment, subscribe, like, and tick the notification bell, which will advise you when a new video is being uploaded. And there are a lot of videos being uploaded at the moment, so it may be a worthwhile tool if you've enjoyed this. In the meantime, may I say thank you very, very much indeed for watching. From the Retro Bear in the gaming pantry, do take care. We'll see you again very, very soon. Bye for now.